Radhanath Maharaj, on this most auspicious occasion of your appearance day celebrations, as Govind Prabhu has requested, I would like to recall some of the wonderful exchanges which I have been fortunate enough to have with you, and so many wonderful things which all of us can learn from these incidents. First of all, before I joined the Brahmacharya ashram, when I was a student at IIT, one day I was in the temple and I was getting ready to go back to the college. At that time, as I was putting on my clothes, Krishnanand Prabhu was in front of me and he looked at me with very intent eyes and started saying, "I'm waiting for the day when I can see you in saffron." So when I heard this, at that time I was not very much prepared. I became quite scared. And after that, for the next 2 months, I was avoiding Krishnanand Prabhu like anything. Because I knew that he is a very intense person. But then still I wanted to confirm with you whether this kind of a desire I should have. And then Govind Prabhu one time took me to you, and then we were having a meeting, and you started asking me, "Now what are your plans?" So at that time I said that I have not yet finally decided, but I am still thinking what to do. So then you said, "We have some wooden lockers waiting for you here." And at that time I felt that it was like a kind of invitation. And then Govind Prabhu said, yes, it is invitation, it is definite. You must try to come. So then I started working towards that goal, and by your mercy somehow I could get an entrance into this ashram, fortunate enough to be with so many wonderful devotees, getting training here. After joining the ashram, one of the first services I had was in the kitchen, along with Sanat Kumar Prabhu, making prasadam for all the brahmacharis and the Gurukul devotees. And I learned a lot of things from you. One day after cooking, I had gone up, and then someone came and told me that Maharaj is having prasadam with all the devotees and he's calling you immediately. So I came down thinking that maybe he's happy with something what I have cooked. And then on all the plates, all the items had been served, and everyone was looking very intently. No one was eating, everyone was just waiting. And you were also sitting in a very serious posture. So I felt something is seriously wrong. And I came near you, and then I came near and you said, you pointed at the dal which was there and said, "What is this?" So I was wondering, this is dal. Why Maharaj is asking like this? So I said, "Maharaj, this is dal." And Maharaj said, "But it is too cold." And I heard old. So I said, "It's not old, it's fresh. I've just made." So I said, "Not old, it's cold." So I told Maharaj, "But it's for the brahmacharis. They are austere and they will adjust." So Maharaj said, "They are brahmacharis, they are not animals. You have to be concerned and you have to be personal, and you can't serve prasad like this. Prasadam means it should be always served hot." And then he said that from now on, whenever brahmacharis are served prasad, any guests are served prasad, make sure that it is always hot. In fact, even one time when we had gone to one grihastha's house, Maharaj made it a point that all the prasad which was served was again heated up and served out. And he said that the natural tendency is to be impersonal, but we have to go out of our way to make sure that everything is very proper. Then there was a lot of discussion about what should be the cooking medium in which we should cook. And then Maharaj was very much insisting that we should cook in ghee. And then we were saying that it's very costly, very difficult. And then recently we managed to do that, and all the prasad is being cooked in ghee. So I told Maharaj that at last your dream is being fulfilled. Now we are serving prasad cooked in ghee for all the brahmacharis. And Maharaj said, just see, the brahmacharis are giving their lives. The least we can do is give them some little ghee. So what is the problem? So I could understand that how much concern you have, how much love you have for all the brahmacharis. And sometimes we take it for granted because you're always around. But you're always contemplating, meditating and thinking about how all of us can be happy and satisfied. One incident about your simplicity. One night I came back from a preaching program and I was used to sleeping at one particular spot in the temple hall under a particular fan next to Srila Prabhupada. And when I came there, I found that someone was sleeping there. So I was like a little disturbed because I had become used to sleeping at that spot only. So I came very near to that person who was sleeping, trying to look who this was, because it looked a little unnatural, not one of the regular brahmacharis. So I came near the face and tried to look intently who was this. And I couldn't figure out who it was because the face was covered with a shawl. And I just said, "Kaun hai?" And the answer came, "Radhanath Swami." And I was so shocked, I just fell back and lay down as if I am now sleeping. I didn't know how to react, I didn't know what to do. And then I realized I have not offered obeisances before going to bed, so I got up and started offering obeisances. Prabhupada was behind me, I was offering obeisances the other way, and Maharaj said, "Whom you are offering obeisances to?" And I said, "Srila Prabhupada." I am saying Namo Om Vishnu Padaya. Maharaj said, "Prabhupada is behind you. Be conscious." So then I realized that how conscious we should be in all of our actions. Sometimes we just do things mechanically. And one of the very wonderful lectures I liked of Maharaj is when he explains all the various exchanges, how things become mechanical. How the arati we do, how the loving exchanges between Vaishnavas, everything tends to become mechanical. So I definitely need your special mercy to overcome this tendency. Recently, a few months back, Maharaj was showing by his own example how to be a humble servant. He started washing his own clothes and he started going all the way to the terrace and he was drying his own clothes. And we were all bewildered why this was happening. And Maharaj explained to us and said that all of you should realize that you must always be careful about not taking service from others. And you should always know that whenever material opulence increases, there is always a chance for all kinds of infighting to develop. This has been the history of all institutions. Therefore, I am very much concerned that the loving spirit amongst all of you should remain. And therefore, I am doing this out of love for you. So Maharaj was always been very, very particular that none of the brahmacharis become overly proud. And he is especially very much insistent that all the brahmacharis should be engaged in some kind of menial service. In fact, in the initial days, I think 5 years back, after the first Gita course was conducted in the temple in October of 95, Maharaj used to hear all the lectures in his room or sometimes outside the temple hall. And then after the first 2 lectures were over, then I had given the second lecture, and the next day Maharaj met me behind the DT room. And at that time I had a very long shikha, because after joining, that much of shikha had been left. So practically it covered the half of my back. So Maharaj came to me and then he caught hold of my shikha. And he said that, "Do you know the purpose of this shikha?" I said, "No, Maharaj. I've heard that it is usually used to prevent a disciple from falling down." Maharaj said, yes. When a disciple becomes unsurrendered, then a spiritual master picks him up with the help of this shika. And longer the shika means more unsurrendered. And then he said, see Devamrit Prabhu, he has very short shika. He is so surrendered. And then he said, just see, yesterday so many people were offering obeisances to you, praising you, what a nice lecture. But here I am, holding your shikha and moving your head left and right, and you can't do anything. So you should always remember that you may go out and preach, but once you come back into this temple, you are just a humble menial servant. And these instructions you have been giving to all the brahmacharis repeatedly. In fact, after Srinathji Prabhu conducted the 11-day discourse on the Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj wrote a very instructive letter to me in which he mentioned that material fame, infamy will come and go, but then Krishna consciousness means lifetime commitment. And one must not be overwhelmed by all the praise and blame which one gets in this life. At all times you should remember that devotees greater than you and me have fallen down because of the uprising of pride within the heart. Therefore you should at no point of time consider yourself to be greater than even the new bhaktin who has joined the temple, who is washing the pots and who is engaged in menial service. And in fact, you have been very much concerned about this aspect, that a devotee, a preacher, can always be overwhelmed by false pride. In fact, after some time, the brahmacharis were celebrating birthdays. So on my birthday, we had a cake cutting ceremony at Maharaj's room. And very often Maharaj would be chastising me about how to be humble and how you should not become proud. So I was thinking today is the day where he will praise me, because it's a birthday after all and he may not be so heavy. So then the cake was arranged, all the brahmacharis came, and I was also sitting with hands folded, trying to show that I'm a very humble servant, and then expecting some words of praise, that now Maharaj will at last reveal to all the brahmacharis that I have some good qualities also. But then the knife was kept in front of the cake, and Maharaj picked up the knife and said, sadhu means to cut. And then he started off that there is a mouse and there is a trap, and there are so many nice tidbits inside the trap. If the mouse becomes attracted to those tidbits, to those eatables, he will enter into the trap and will get caught and he will die. Similarly, pratishtha or fame and worship is like that. And a devotee should not become attached to that, and especially someone who is preaching should be very, very careful. Otherwise he will get caught in that trap and will perish. And then he went on for at least 15 minutes giving left and right. And then after that, last 30 seconds, in a very low voice, he spoke some sweet things which practically no one could hear. But then he made sure that he says both the aspects. And then the cake cutting ceremony was over. And then after I came out, so many devotees were saying, my God, what a heavy cake cutting ceremony. Then we were in South India Yatra, and at Kurma Kshetra we were about to take bath in one lake. And then Maharaj asked me, so do you know to swim? And I said, I don't know to swim. Maharaj said, you don't know swimming? I said, no. Then Stok Krishna Prabhu was standing nearby. Maharaj said, Stok Krishna, you know swimming? I said, yes. So teach him how to swim. I told Maharaj, I have tried many times before, but I could never swim. Maharaj said, you couldn't learn because you never accepted a guru. Now today you accept Stok Krishna as your guru, and he'll teach you. So I just folded my hands and said, okay, Stok Krishna Prabhu, you are my guru. Maharaj said, not so impersonally. You have to bend down at his lotus feet, take the dust of his feet, and beseech him, beg him, and fall at his feet, and then he will agree to teach you. And all the devotees were standing all around and they were looking, and I was already removed all the clothes, only in the gamcha, and I was feeling, should I do it or not? Maharaj said, come on, do it, do it. And then ultimately I had to do it. But within my heart I was thinking that, no, I'm not going to learn today. But somehow Krishna Prabhu managed to teach a little bit. And then I came out and told Maharaj that by your mercy I could learn a little bit. What I have not learned in so many years, I could learn today, because you had empowered Krishna Prabhu, and so I could learn. And Maharaj said, you should never forget the story of the boatman and the gentleman. So you may be like a gentleman, but then ultimately the gentleman drowned. The boatman was very simple, but although he was simple, he knew how to swim. Therefore, it is only simplicity and humility that can take you across this ocean of material existence, and not your intellectual scholarship. So behind even this simple incident, he had a profound message. And as I was reading one of Prabhupada's analogy, that is how a tiger trainer trains a tiger repeatedly by hammering the same message again and again, till the tiger realizes that my ultimate pleasure depends on the pleasure of this trainer. Similarly, it is impossible for a disciple to be trained unless he comes to this realization that my pleasure is dependent on the pleasure of the spiritual master. All the others may be pleased, but unless the spiritual master is pleased, Krishna cannot be pleased, and there is no hope for liberation. In fact, Radhanath Maharaj's wit is very well known. And we were going one time for a college program, and then there was a hoarding, a billboard, and the hoarding was advertising IBM company, the international company, business machines, IBM. So Maharaj said, do you know what IBM means? I said, no. So he said, you know, in US, what BM stands for? So I said, no. He said, in US, BM means bowel movement. That means when someone wants to go and pass stool, they won't say, I'm going to pass stool. They will say, I'm going for BM. That means bowel movement. It's like equivalent to passing stool. So the meaning of this IBM means I pass stool. Because people are filled with material desires and they are trying to propagate this on others. They have no purity, no Krishna consciousness, so it is as good as that. In fact, one of Maharaj's godbrothers, Pushkar Prabhu, was recently mentioning that Maharaj was in some place at United States, I don't remember the exact place, Alachua, and they were having a lot of meetings, very intense meetings. And the Back to Godhead office was also there, and the layout designer and photographer Yamaraj Prabhu, Maharaj was staying with him in the Back to Godhead office, in the BTG office there. So after attending some meetings, Maharaj was going back to the BTG office where Yamaraj Prabhu was there. So Maharaj told Pushkar Prabhu that now that these intense meetings are over, I am going back to the BTG office. And then he told Pushkar Prabhu that actually in history I am going to be the only person who will go back to Godhead and meet Yamaraj. And then Pushkar Prabhu was laughing like anything. And he was saying that in spite of such a situation where there were so many various kinds of problems going on, Radhanath Maharaj has such a wit, he has such a transcendental humor that can enliven anyone at the most surprising time. Some of the instructions which you have been giving very prominently in the last 1 year is that Srila Prabhupada has given us practically everything, and there is no need to leave Srila Prabhupada's movement trying to search for anything higher or anything more. You have been emphasizing on humility and service attitude, and only that will give realization. In fact, one time he was telling me that I just do not want you to speak about Krishna, I want you to realize Krishna. If you are simply engaged in studying all these books, then the maximum that will happen is you will spend the whole life speaking about Krishna. But then, to realize Krishna, you need humble service attitude. And Jananivas Prabhu, when he came here, he was mentioning that how this wonderful Radha Gopinath community reminds him of the spiritual world, which is exactly like a family. And Maharaj emphasizes this fact that unless there is a mood of a family, unless there is a culture which supports our spiritual life, it will be very, very difficult to continue spiritual life in the long run, because it will not be pleasing. And therefore, Maharaj, you have been emphasizing so much that all the brahmacharis, grihasthas, all the congregation members, sannyasis come together and create a most wonderful, charming mood in which spiritual life can be practiced most wonderfully. When the opening of Radha Gopinath deities took place this year, then Rupraknath Prabhu requested me that you can go and ask Maharaj whether he would like to dress Srimati Radharani. So then if Maharaj agrees, we can go and tell Jananivas Prabhu that Maharaj is doing Radharani, so he can dress Gopinath. So I went to Maharaj and said, Maharaj, would you like to dress Radharani tomorrow? It's a special festival. And then I suddenly thought that since Jananivas Prabhu is Pujari, he will definitely agree. So I told Maharaj that Jananivas Prabhu may also dress Gopinath, and if he knows that you are dressing Radharani, he will definitely. And Maharaj has such a love for Jananivas Prabhu that he came from his room, went into Jananivas Prabhu's room and said, if you are dressing Gopinath, I will definitely dress Radharani, because it's such a rare fortune to get to do service along with you. And he agreed. And we can see that the Radha Gopinath calendar for this year is having that picture. Gopinath was dressed by Jananivas Prabhu and Radharani by Maharaj. And the previous day, actually, it was the Vyas Puja celebration. It was such a heavy day, hectic day. But the next day, he was willing to go out of his way to please the devotees in this manner, and showing by his example that one must always try to put his heart and soul in service. In fact, this year, after the Janmashtami, after the Abhishek was over, usually we see that not many people are around, and then the winding up is done by the remaining few pujaris. So at around 11:15, the Abhishek was over, and I was expecting that Maharaj will leave. But then he came up and said, now where do these tables have to be taken? So I told Maharaj, we'll do it, because you can go and take rest, or you can meet the devotees. He said, no, tell me where these tables have to be taken. And without waiting for an answer, he started moving the tables after the Abhishek. And then immediately everyone swung into action. They saw that Maharaj wants to do service till the very end. And then after taking out the tables, then we thought that now it's over. So I told Maharaj, the tables have been removed. Now we'll arrange for the offerings. You can please leave. Maharaj said, where are the offerings? So it's the next room, but we are just making arrangements. So Maharaj said, I would like to personally keep the offerings. And then we understood that really he wants to serve till the very end.